All right, friends, I got something here that I think to me is unexpected. I'll put it that way, totally unexpected. I decided I need to do a little experimental exercise here as I continue to develop the stereognosis platform, the proprioception, the haptic perception. So I grab a blind online quote-unquote target, and this is what it is here. It is the damaged service module for Apollo 13. Okay, and just keep that in mind. I'm just going to go through this session here real quick, and go with this strange stuff here. Let's go through this. I'll kind of zip along a little bit. Getting ready to go here. Get my mind ready. Ideograph time. Boom, right there. I felt it right there. Right away. Flat area. Very high confidence level. Right off the bat. Dimensional sensation right away. High confidence, 50, 55%, 60% confidence level, because of the dimensional sensation was strong. Again, ideograph is providing the proprioceptors the stimulation to produce the dimensional sensation. Confidence level continues to rise. A land area. Feels natural. Screwed that one up. Again, 60%, 65% confidence. That an actual remote viewing is taking place. You skip a little bit along here. Now it's starting to get a little bit more into the pattern recognition areas of the brain, of my brain. That was an interesting one. Skip a little bit along here. Oh, okay, now I'm like, oh yeah, the area is not exactly flat. It kind of crevicey. Some sloping areas. Graded areas. A pattern complete out here. A moon. This feels like the moon. the surface. Moon or Mars. The surface had all the sensations of that. The moon. Skip a little bit here. All the dimension sensations are in. And at this point, I'm like, hey, okay, I'm 75% confident of where I'm at here. I'm like, I might end it, or do I take it into entry 2 formation? Yeah, let me go into formation here. See what happens. Natural area with depressions. Valleys. That's what the surface is like. So pattern complete. So these are, I get visuals, craters, volcano type things. Natural setting, landscape. Again, it's like the moon or like Mars. Okay. All right. So then I finish. I go and I check my feedback. Again, totally blind. And I find out that it is the damaged, what do they call it again? Service module of Apollo 13. So I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, I get it. It was on the way to the moon. But I'm on the surface of the moon. Well, that's weird to me. Because maybe I locked into the notion of the moon based on the nature of this. But that didn't settle right, because I'm literally at an 80 to 85% confidence level. I'm on the surface of the moon or Mars. The moon or Mars. I'm on a that's where I'm at. That's what this is about. So then I just got curious. Now was not too familiar with the story of Apollo 13. Maybe I watched the movie back in the 90s. Honestly, I couldn't even remember it, if I did or not. So I started to think, that's kind of strange. The story is kind of strange about Apollo 13. Let me go and do a little research on it. So I did a search for Apollo 13 hoax. And I watched most of this, and what these guys were saying got me thinking.
With the temperature 70 degrees, and let's see what happens.
If the lunar module is setting in the sun, which it always is, then slowly but surely that temperature inside is going to go up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, you ain't going to make it.
Okay, this guy here, the fourth man to walk on the moon. This guy is saying if that module is straight and direct access to the sun with no temperature control, the inside of that module would raise to 250 degrees. Now the story, and I didn't know the story. I had to go and figure out the story. So here's the Apollo 13 module here. This is the service module. This had a massive explosion right here. Oxygen tank exploded. This thing here is where the environmental control system radiator is, the oxygen tanks, all that, the power supplies, everything is in here. This is the part that exploded. This they had to detach from. So this is the command center. This is the lunar module. This is the part. This is the service module. This part blows up, or has an explosion. The guys are in here. They separate from this. That's what this part is. So now they're in here. But then they're saying they didn't have enough oxygen in here for the three of them, so they moved into here. into the landing module, the lunar module, which is, according to this guy, if you don't have temperature control in there, and you're in the direct sunlight, because that thing is basically a piece of tin foil right here. It's just a piece of tin foil. It can get up to 250 degrees, and it was designed with enough oxygen to hold 2 men on the moon for 2 days. There were 3 men in the module. So what they did was they decided to go up into here, the 3 of them, and make it a 4-day around the backside of the moon trip. But there's only 2 days worth of oxygen for 2 men. And it's basically tinfoil. What he's saying here, what this guy said, wait, let me get to him. Where are you at? This dude here said, who was the guy on there, one of the guys on there, was that this thing was so, it was just basically tinfoil. You could poke your finger through this thing and it would be exposed to the radiation and everything else on the outside. Okay? How the hell did they do that? Then they decide that they're going to direct this around the back side of the moon and use it as kind of a slingshot to get them back to Earth. Okay. Wow, these guys are smart. Here is a video from the Wikipedia of that. Between Earth set and sunrise, the crew was in total darkness for 8 minutes. 8 minutes. They're in total darkness. So I'm wondering, they don't have any sunlight hitting them for 8 minutes. And they're in here, basically a tinfoil box. So I had to wonder, if they're in total darkness in space for 8 minutes, what's the temperature there? The temperature in space is minus 455 degrees. They have no sunlight for 8 minutes. And it's 450 degrees. But according to them, they are inside of the module and they don't even have spacesuits on. This is their story. They don't even have spacesuits on. Or lunar suit, insulated suits. They don't even have that. So they're in minus 450 degrees for 8 minutes. How is that even possible? And then they come around the moon, and then they make it back. They'll start making their way back, apparently. But they're flying in the tin foil here that has enough oxygen for 2 people for 2 days. But there's 3 of them, and they say it takes 4 days. But as this guy says, when the tinfoil is exposed to the sun without temperature control, it could get up to 250 degrees inside of there. Now when I looked at the rest of this video, okay, well, you know, there's my session. You know, there's my session. Here's their story. Their story doesn't make any sense to me. This doesn't make any sense. Now, when I started going looking through like this here, the real story and all that, they're trying to convince me that this flight, this moon mission, which happened in 1970, a year after the first moon mission, 1 year earlier, it was the biggest story on Earth. They're telling me that 1 year later, nobody cared about this story. Nobody cared about Apollo. That they were beaming back live footage inside the module before Houston, we have a problem. And nobody was watching it. The networks didn't even want to show it. It was no big deal. People would rather watch I Love Lucy. That doesn't make any sense. That literally doesn't make any sense to me. You're telling me that 1 year after the first mission, nobody cares about it? That's what they're trying to convey. That's what they're trying to convince me of. Plus, it was all not only was it Apollo 13, the flight took off at 13 hours. So there's a lot of esoteric numerology involved. But after going through this, after remote viewing this, and getting this here, and I am 85%, 95% confident, this is what I'm seeing, what I'm perceiving. Either this thing crashed into the moon, and I don't know what these guys are doing here. Did it crash into the moon? Here? Because this is impossible. This is impossible. And when I'm listening to this dude talk, I'm sorry. I mean, I'll be conspiracy guy here. Something ain't right.
As well.
This guy. Okay. Anyway, fascinating. That's why I love remote viewing so much. I don't know what's going on. I'm just doing some research. Going down a rabbit hole. Going down a rabbit hole, that's all I'm saying. Whatever this is about, I'm just going down a rabbit hole. But I'm telling you this right now. I'm 85% sure that my remote viewing here is real. The other thing that I'm thinking about now is that if this jettisoned broken module, maybe that made it to the moon and actually crash into the moon. Maybe it did. So that might be possible. Maybe that's possible, but that's like a fantasy. That's a fantasy to me. That doesn't seem even remotely possible. Anyway, best as yet again.